Please be seated. To briefly introduce myself, I am Grayson Lusk Hussong. I'm a senior at St. Mary's Episcopal School. I've attended Calvary since birth. I've been baptized and confirmed here, and I sit with my family right over there on most Sundays when I'm not acolyting. I feel very honored and frankly quite nervous to stand in front of you all this morning and attempt to give a little back to the community that has supported me and given me so much through my whole life. When Buddy pulled up the gospel for May 14th, he gave a little chuckle before informing me that John 14 contained the passage most frequently quoted at funerals. In my Father's house, there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and I will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also. While these words are obviously very comforting in the wake of a loved one's death, I was a little daunted by the idea of preaching on this passage. But when I read the passage for myself, I was even more intimidated by the remainder of the text. Another line also jumped out as one often quoted: I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, you will know my Father also. As a novice sermon writer, I was entirely overwhelmed by the grandeur and lofty nature of these passages, and I tried to put it out of my mind until the last minute when I would have to throw something together. But when I finally returned to the passage and read it again, it was the lines in between these two oft-quoted verses that grabbed my attention. The lines where Thomas asks Jesus, Lord, we do not know where we are going. How can we know the way? I think this question resonates with me so much because I never have any idea where I'm going. For one, I have a terrible sense of direction. I'm the kind of person who, without fail, turns the wrong way when exiting an elevator. And of course, when I finally sat down to write this sermon, I had no idea where it would lead, what I would say, and how I would say it. But the real reason this passage resonates with me as strongly as it does is that, unlike all of my friends and classmates, I do not know where I'm going next year. I thought I knew up until 6 weeks ago. I verbally committed to attend the University of Richmond to play lacrosse during October of my junior year. I signed my letter of intent in the fall, applied early decision, and paid my housing deposit. I had my next 4 years figured out over a year before my classmates had even submitted their first college application. It was all official and the way was clear. I had chosen a path that was safe and familiar. When my friends were finally making their college decisions and I saw how happy and excited they were, I had my own misgivings about my decision. But the way was set and there was no turning back. Why would I turn back when I knew where I was going and the alternative was full of uncertainty? We all want to know where we are going at all times. We all depend on our iPhones to direct us to our next location. There are countless stories of drivers who blindly followed their GPSs off cliffs or directly into lakes. And while I heavily depend on my phone's mapping system, just like any good member of Generation Z, I sometimes set out with a few extra minutes so I can turn off my phone and try to find my own way. Sometimes I don't really know where I'm going, but I try to remind myself that this uncertainty is all right to some degree. But now I really don't know where I'm going. Come August, I could be in Haiti or I could be in Seattle. The path is not clear. I withdrew my enrollment from Richmond just 2 weeks ago. And now, as I stand ready to travel down this uncertain path, I've begun to wonder if my senior classmates and friends who do know what city and even which dorm they will be living in 2.5 months' time, if they really know where they are going. Probably not completely. No matter how much we plan and prepare, life will take some unexpected turns. Majors change, friends come and go, even our hobbies shift over time. But just as Jesus comforts Thomas, all of us, regardless of where we think we're going, known or unknown, will be faced with uncertainty and changes in all stages of life, and we need to have faith. Maybe not blind faith in our GPSs, but faith in a higher power, faith in our communities, faith in our families, faith in ourselves. Last summer, when I started working at Baskin-Robbins, as I was walking from my car into the store on my very first day, I heard a male voice asking me to give him a minute of my time. Turning to see a man in dirty clothes and carrying bags, I prepared myself to politely say no when he inevitably asked me for money. I was caught off guard when he flashed a huge grin and, noting my shirt, asked if I'd gotten a job at Baskin-Robbins. He then told me that he was homeless, in and out of jail, but trying to make a clean living for himself by washing cars instead of begging. I explained to him that I did not have cash at that moment, but instead of walking away dejectedly, he thanked me for being a kind soul. Addressing the Star and Micey bumper sticker on my car, for those of you who don't know, Star and Micey is a local band, he declared that he was going to call me Star. When I left the store that night, my hubcaps were freshly washed. Sorry. I sometimes don't see Kevin for weeks at a time. He doesn't know where he is going to spend the night, get his next hot meal, or even if he will be hanging around the store on the following night. But I can count on him to greet me with a huge grin, and a warm, "Hey, Star," and walking me to my car when I lock up at the end of the night. I can count on Kevin to remind me that even if we don't know where we are going, we can help people along the way. This is a time of significant changes for pretty much everyone. The country is still reeling from the presidential election. Calvary is preparing to welcome a new rector. The end of the school year upends strict schedules, and we're all bracing for the hot summer weather. Not knowing where we're going is terrifying. Even just the idea of control makes the unpredictability of life more bearable. I like knowing where I'm going and what is going to happen next. I am a huge fan of predictability. But back to the gospel. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. But if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. We're not asked to have blind faith. We as people are given opportunities time and time again to put our trust in whomever or whatever we so please. And so, as a wise 18-year-old, almost high school graduate, I'm telling you that we can't always know the way, but we do know that there is a way. I would be amiss if I failed to at least acknowledge that today is Mother's Day, so I want to quickly thank the women in our lives, chosen and unchosen, mothers, grandmothers, godmothers, aunts, and friends who help us along our paths. As we leave here today, on paths known and unknown, we must have faith that we will find the right path and celebrate the people who look out for us along the way. Thank you.